The very first dinosaur that we're introduced to in the Jurassic Park series happens to be a compy, Compsognathus triassicus to be exact. However, in the film series, Robert Burke merges this animal's name with that of Compsognathus, a similar, yet still different species of animal. Since both are referred to as compies, and even Stan Winston's team called them Compsognathus, I'm just gonna call them compies for the duration of the video. At the beginning of Michael Crichton's first Jurassic Park novel, a young girl is attacked by one of the small animals while walking along the beach. This causes a series of investigations to begin in order to identify the culprit. Martin Gutierrez eventually finds the body of a compy and sends it off to a university for further research. Alan Grant is immediately able to name the animal once he sets his eyes upon it. In the books, compies were able to escape the island by stowing away on boats and hopping off once they docked at a mainland port. Here, they would wander off and get into all kinds of trouble. In the novels, they're given a venomous bite, which can render their prey drowsy with its mild narcotic effect. John Hammond bred the compies as sort of a cleanup crew on the islands. The animals would regularly eat the larger dinosaurs' feces. This diet unfortunately led to their extinction, seeing as once they'd eaten the feces of an animal infected with the DX disease, the creatures would be sadly doomed to die. They've made an appearance in almost every single Jurassic Park video game released to the public. However, the Lost World Jurassic Park for the PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and Game Gear featured them front and center in a starring role. In the second film itself, the compies are introduced early on in a scene that is directly adapted from the first novel. Here, the small creatures are shown to be rather delicate and cute, but still quite vicious and undeniably deadly. Kathy Bowman is able to survive her encounter with the small creatures at the start, but Dieter Stark finds himself in a much more grim situation. After having already tased one of the compies in the face, Dieter is soon attacked and subdued by the little creatures once he falls down a hill and becomes cut off from the hunter group. Even though he's able to wring one of their necks and throw several off of his body, the massive flock soon overwhelms him, making their final assault and causing the river to run red with a man's blood. After returning from a long search for his lost comrade, Roland reveals that while he did find Stark, all that was left were the parts they didn't like. A Compsognathus would come packaged in with the Dieter Stark action figure that was released for the Lost World in the 90s. It came complete with a magnet on its mouth which would stick to Stark's chest and let you reenact the scene from the movie. I actually used to own this toy and it happened to be one of my favorites as a kid. After the success of the first Jurassic Park, Universal Studios began construction on a ride based on the movie. A cafe would accompany the attraction right next door to it. In preparation for the second film, several dinosaurs from Crichton's book were shown off in great detail here. Here you can find several illustrations of compies doing an assortment of things. John Hammond, played by Richard Attenborough himself, can be seen on televisions mounted around the site, telling everyone about his park. And some of the voiceover material by other park workers feature compy facts prominently. During the ride itself, you can see two compies fighting over a bag of popcorn. The Lost World would go on to be the biggest film of 1997 up until Titanic was released. And due to the sequel's huge success, compies became well known and recognized by the general public, helping the creatures to make their way into games like Dino Crisis and Tomb Raider 3. In Jurassic Park 3, they would feature the dinosaurs' return, but only for a brief cameo. The compies would fortunately still get their own toys, which came packaged in with Dr. Grant. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom will mark the long-awaited return of the Compsognathus within the film series. Here, we've been given great imagery that really harkens back to their introduction to the public within the Lost World. They've already gotten their own new set of toys to celebrate such a return, and it would seem like the public is quite ready for them as well. I've always been a big fan of the compies. Despite most of the animals in Jurassic Park being huge and quite formidable to humans, these unassuming creatures are really small, but pack a serious punch. If there is one returning dinosaur that I'm most excited to see in the fifth film, I'm happy to say that it is most definitely the Compsognathus. Now, before I go, I want to thank my game wardens, as well as all of my InGen executives, like Brianna Christie. I'd also like to thank my park workers and InGen hunters as well, Alec Hubbard and Care Bear. Words can't really express how awesome it is to have you guys tell me how much you enjoy the stuff I do, and I seriously am eternally grateful for every ounce of support that you've shown me. It honestly means the world. Now, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, and hope that you all enjoyed today's content. If you feel like I deserve it, I would appreciate the like and hope that you'll consider subscribing if you're interested in hearing from me again. And I'll see you all in the next video, guys. As always, take it easy.